we're on day 2 now of our book Billionaire Boy by David Williams. And if you remember from yesterday, all Joe wanted was a friend. Now we're on chapter 2, Bum Boy. Bum Boy, said Joe. Bum Boy, spluttered Mr. Spud. What else do they call you at school? The bog roll kids. Mr. Spud shook his head in disbelief. He had sent his son to the most expensive school in England, St Cuthbert's School for Boys. The fees were £200,000 a term, and all the boys had to wear Elizabethan ruffs and tights. Here's a picture of Joe in his school uniform. There he is. He looks a bit silly, doesn't he? So the last thing that Mr. Spud expected was that his son would get bullied. Bullying was something that happened to poor people. But the truth was that Joe had been picked on ever since he started at that school. The posh kids hated him because his dad had made his money out of loo rolls. They said that was awfully vulgar. Bottom billionaire, the bum white heir, master plot paper, continued Joe. And that's just the teachers. Most of the boys at Joe's school were princes, or at least dukes or earls. Their families had made their fortunes from owning lots of land. That made them old money. Joe had quickly come to learn that money was only worth having if it was old. New money from selling loo rolls didn't count. The posh boys at St Cuthbert's had names like Nathaniel, Septimus, Ernest, Bertram, Lysander, Tybalt, Zacharias, Edmund, Alexander, Humphrey, Percy, Quinton, Tristan, Augustus, Bartholomew, Tarquin, Imogen, Sebastian, Theodore, Clarence, Smythe. That was just one boy. The subjects were all ridiculously posh too. This was Joe's school timetable. Monday, Latin, straw hat wearing, royal studies, the study of etiquette, show jumping, ballroom dancing, debating society. This house believes that it is vulgar to do up the bottom button on your waistcoat. Scone eating, bow tie tying, punting, polo, the sport with horses and sticks, not the mince. Tuesday, ancient Greek, croquet, pheasant shooting, being beastly to servants class, mandolin level 3, the history of tweed, nose in the air hour, learning to step over the people as you leave the opera, finding your way out of a maze. Wednesday, fox hunting, flower arranging, conversing about the weather, the history of cricket, the history of the brogue, playing stately home top trumps, reading Harper's Bazaar, ballet appreciation class, top hat polishing, fencing, the one with swords, not selling stolen goods. Thursday, antique furniture appreciation hour, Range Rover tyre changing class, discussion of whose daddy is the richest, competition to see who is best friends with Prince Harry, learning to talk posh, rowing club, debating society. This house believes that muffins are best toasted. Chess, the study of coats of arms, a lecture on how to talk loudly in restaurants. Friday, poetry reading, medieval English, history of wearing corduroy, classical sculpture appreciation class, spotting yourself in the party pages of Tatler Hour, duck hunting, billiards, classical musical appreciation afternoon, dinner party discussion topic class. However, the main reason why Joe hated going to St Cuthbert's wasn't the silly subjects. It was the fact that everyone at the school looked down on him. They thought that someone whose papa made their money from bog rolls was just too frightfully common. I want to go to a different school, Dad, said Joe. No problem. I can afford to send you to the poshest schools in the world. I heard about this place in Switzerland. You ski in the morning and then... No, said Joe. How about I go to the local comp? What? Said Mr. Spud. I might make a friend there, said Joe. He'd seen the kids milling around the school gates when he was being chauffeured to St Cuthbert's. They all looked like they were having such a great time, chatting, playing games, swapping cards. To Joe, it all looked so fabulously normal. Yes, but the local comp, said Mr. Spud. Are you sure? Yes, replied Joe defiantly. I could build you a school in the back garden if you like, offered Mr. Spud. No, I want to go to a normal school with normal kids. I want to make a friend. I don't have a single friend at St Cuthbert's. But you can't go to a normal school. You're a billionaire boy. All the kids will either bully you or want to be friends with you just because you're rich. It'll be a nightmare for you. Well, then I won't tell anyone who I am. I'll just be Joe. And maybe, just maybe, I'll make a friend, or even two. Mr. Spud thought for a moment and then relented. If that's what you really want, Joe, then okay, you can go to a normal school. Joe was so excited that he bum-jumped along the sofa nearer to his dad to give him a cuddle. Don't crease a suit, boy, said Mr. Spud. Sorry, Dad, said Joe, bum-jumping back a little. He cleared his throat. I love you, Dad. Yes, son, ditto, ditto, said Mr. Spud as he rose to his feet. Well, have a good birthday, mates. Aren't we going to do something together tonight? Said Joe, trying to hide his disappointment. When he was younger, Joe's dad would always take him to the local burger restaurant as a birthday treat. They couldn't afford the burgers, so they'd just order the chips and eat them with some ham and pickle sandwiches that Mr. Spud would smuggle in under his hat. I can't, son. Sorry, I've got a date with this stunning model tonight, said Mr. Spud, indicating an advert in the magazine. Joe looked at that page. There was a photograph of a woman's hand squirting toilet cleaner around a U-bend. Well, I say model. She's a hand model, really. I can't wait to see her face. Underneath the image it read, Sapphire, 19, from Bradford. Like shopping, hates thinking. Don't you think Sapphire's a little young for you, Dad? Asked Joe. It's only a 27-year age gap, replied Mr. Spud in an instant. Joe wasn't convinced. Well, where are you taking this Sapphire? A nightclub. A nightclub? Asked Joe. Yes, said Mr. Spud in an offended tone. I'm not too old to go to a nightclub. As he spoke, he opened a box and pulled out what looked like a hamster that had been flattened by a mallet and put it on his head. What on earth is that, Dad? What's what, Joe? Replied Mr. Spud with mock innocence as he adjusted the contraption to cover his bald dome. That thing on your head. Oh, this is a toupee, boy. Only £10,000 each. I bought a blonde one, a brown one, a ginger one, and an afro for special occasions. It makes me look 20 years younger, don't you think? Joe didn't like to lie. The toupee didn't make his dad look younger. Instead, it made him look like a man who was trying to balance a dead rodent on his head. Therefore, Joe chose a non-committal, Right, well, have a good night, Joe added, picking up the remote. It looked like it would be just him and the 100-inch television again. There's some caviar in the fridge for your tea, son, said Mr. Spud as he headed for the door. What's caviar? It's fish eggs, son. Ugh! Joe didn't even like normal eggs much. Eggs laid by a fish sounded really revolting. Yeah, I had some on my toast for my breakfast. It's absolutely disgusting, but it's very expensive, so we should start eating it. Can't we just have bangers and mash, or fish and chips, or shepherd's pie or something, Dad? I used to love shepherd's pie, son. Mr. Spud drooled a little, as if imagining the taste of shepherd's pie. Well then, Mr. Spud shook his head impatiently. No, we are rich, son. We have to eat all this posh stuff now like proper rich people do. See you later. The door slammed behind him, and moments later Joe heard the deafening roar of his father's lime green Lamborghini speeding off into the night. Joe was disappointed to be on his own again, but he still couldn't suppress a small smile as he turned on the TV. He was going to an ordinary school again, and he would be an ordinary boy, and maybe, just maybe, make a friend. The question was, how long could Joe keep the fact that he was a billionaire a secret? I'm going to stop there, and hopefully tomorrow we can find out whether he makes a friend or not. Have a good day.